The LA Industrial Wind Farm project proposed by D.Kolb will comprise 120 nearly 600-foot tall industrial wind turbines. They have leases for 30,000 acres with residents, some of whom are town board members, in 5 rural towns in Cattaraugus County. They will be as close as 800 feet to residents. Wind turbines produce infrasound, which is below the range of human hearing. I pushed the wrong button. Sorry. Which is below the range of human hearing, which is from 0 to 20 hertz, and low frequency noise, which is from 0 to 500 hertz, together abbreviated as ILFN, meaning from 0 to 500 hertz. Vibroacoustic disease, abbreviated VAD, is a whole body pathology that develops in people excessively exposed to ILFN. ILFNs were tested as weapons as early as World War I and are still used today for crowd control. Vibroacoustic disease is associated with the abnormal growth of extracellular matrices, collagen and elastin, in the absence of an inflammatory process. This is seen in blood vessels, cardiac structures, especially the pericardium, the trachea, lungs, and kidneys of both VAD patients and animals exposed to ILFN. VAD is essentially a mechanotransduction disease. Inter and intracellular communication is achieved through both biomechanical and mechanotransduction signaling. When the structural components of tissue are altered, as seen in ILFN exposed specimens, mechanically mediated signaling is at best impaired. VAD patients typically have normal EKG, EEG, and blood chemistry analysis, which are based on malfunction of biochemical signaling processes. VAD patients and ILFN-exposed animals consistently show significant changes, however, when endocardiography, brain MRI, or histological studies are performed. The physiological and biological basis for this disease can only be understood by mechanotransduction cellular signaling. The ability of cells to respond to mechanical stress is of critical importance. The stages of ILFN exposure go from mood swings, digestive disorders, to bronchitis, chest and back pain, to skin infections, blood in the urine, conjunctivitis, allergies, hemorrhages of nasal, digestive, and conjunctive mucosa, varicose veins, ulcers, colitis, visual problems, head and joint pain, to muscular pain and neurological disturbances. Other associated pathologies include late onset epilepsy, balance disturbances, cerebral ischemic vascular accidents, endocrine disorders, diabetes, malignant tumors, lupus, and vitiligo. Keeping wind turbines' audible sound levels down by wearing earplugs would be equivalent to wearing sunglasses to work with X-rays. ILFN may be worse inside buildings than outside and can penetrate the earth. It can travel up to 6.8 miles. Buildings and people's organs have their own resonant frequencies. Some organs of individuals have different, organs of individuals have different masses and densities, people will be affected differently. These findings have been based on the work of Dr. Mariana Alves Pereira and others. She has a Bachelor of Science in Physics, Master's in Biochemical Engineering, and a PhD in Environmental Sciences. In an article entitled "Abandoned Homes Near Wind Turbines Discovered to be Saturated with Infrasound" in Wisconsin, 4 acoustical consulting firms' primarily conclusion is that there is enough evidence and hypotheses have been herein given to classify ILFN as a serious issue, possibly affecting the future of the industry. Also, that ILFN is a primary characteristic of wind turbine acoustic emissions was established by the team. Animal studies show evidence that exposure to low-frequency sound, along with amplitude modulation of audible sounds, can induce transient endolymphatic hydrops. In a press release called "Industrial Wind Turbines and Infrasound and Vibroacoustic Disease" from May of 2007, it says that the results irrefutably demonstrate that wind turbines in the proximity of residential areas produce acoustical environments that can lead to VAD in nearby home dwellers. The most common complaints of people living near wind turbines are vestibular problems, sleep disturbances, headaches or migraines, tinnitus, dizziness, vertigo, nausea, visual blurring, irritability, problems concentrating and memory problems, panic episodes, heart palpitations, tachycardia, and high blood pressure, which can lead to heart attack or stroke. Audible turbine noise is perceived to be more annoying than transportation noise or industrial noise of comparable sound pressure levels. Turbines are generally in rural areas where the ambient sound levels are below 30 dBA. The stress from simple audible noise can affect life expectancy through central nervous system processes, leading to an inadequate neuroendocrine reaction and finally to regulation diseases. Research suggests that infrasound generated by wind turbines may cause amplitude modulation of audible sounds. An audio signal is combined with infrasound and exerts a controlling influence on it. The unique characteristics of wind turbine noise influences the perception of the noise, sometimes feeling the vibrations in the body as opposed to hearing them because of the tonal signal of sharply rising and falling pulses in the infrasound range. ILFNs increase with turbine size. They will be some of the largest on land. They are working on taller ones, and they won't need hills as much, so they may be coming to an area near you soon. Wind turbine compliance noise audits are usually based on an average A-weighted metrics, which doesn't take into account cyclical amplitude modulation and LFM. The World Health Organization noise limits are not based on research for wind turbines. Flicker rates can cause seizures and disrupt concentration. Try to study with somebody turning the lights on and off. Why has all this information been ignored? I do not think that people are abandoning their homes or sleeping in their garages because the room's resonant frequencies are different on some sort of hysterical whims. Non-disclosure agreements don't allow for accurate statistics, but how many organizations have to be started and how many people have to get sick or move before the so-called anecdotal evidence becomes statistically relevant? Does a corporation have the right to tell people that they cannot tell others if a product or service is making them ill just because they financially gained from it? The Shirley Wind Farm has been declared a human health hazard. Invenergy has been sued in Orangeville, New York, Houston, Oregon, for health problems and going over the agreed-upon dB parameters. In Sheldon, New York, according to Town Councilor Glenn Kramer, Invenergy used toxic slag from Bethlehem Steel in that agricultural community. In a PDF called Noise Models Atmospheric Stability at Maple Ridge, dated April 10, 2008, an Invenergy project, Clifford P. Schneider believes that the BBA predicted levels of turbines and measured levels by his calculations because of the logarithmic nonlinear dBA scale were far off the mark, especially since the predictions of noise were supposed to be worst case scenario. It's another Invenergy farm. Infrasound and stray voltage, dirty electricity may be harmful to livestock and animals. Bats' lungs explode near them, increasing the need for pesticides for mosquitoes they eat and possibly increasing the chances for West Nile virus. They kill larger birds at the top of the avian food chain that have fewer broods, particularly raptors. The deforestation increases CO2, which plants essentially breathe, while negatively altering water flow and causing soil erosion. They may disrupt wells from the vibrations and also may release radon gas or leak hydraulic fluids. For an 86 turbine plant in Bryan, Wisconsin, it was said to take 9,000 trucks in and 9,000 trucks out to build roads, etc., contributing to pollution of the area. The turbines themselves use rare earth minerals, largely from China, featuring child labor with a great environmental impact there, also making them hard to dispose of. The burning of the lime to make concrete, according to journalist Lord Monckton, along with the construction, delivery, and transportation lines, will emit more CO2 than they will ever save and the amount of electricity that they will generate in their entire lifetime. A new Harvard study reported recently by the MIT Technology Review concludes wide-scale U.S. wind power could cause significant warming. The American taxpayer pays for a large portion of wind farms by the production tax credit in NYSERDA. They only work at 24% capacity and are use about 5 times more land than coal, gas, or nuclear. The other power plants must be on standby when the wind isn't blowing because the electricity can't be stored. The proposed Farmers Bill law says that the wind turbines will not go above 50 decibels except for 10% of the time, or 6 minutes per hour. When, at 2 o'clock in the morning, and how high, there's no limits in their proposed law. So to me, they are not green machines, but the profits sure are. And I also just read last night that their Sokolov law firm just is doing a $200 million lawsuit against the wind turbines that are near Utica, New York. So that's all I have to say, and thank you very much for listening. And I'm sorry I'm so nervous.
Thank you very much for your